I need to make a correction real quick here. I was doing an example. Um, oh yeah, this was 10, 0, and point 0.5. Yeah, okay, so that'd be 20, not 5. I don't know what I was thinking. Um, anyway, I was thinking of one that I think I'd printed off already. But we were looking at this function and its actual output, which was the output, was the domain. That happened to be here. So this is the actual domain if we were going from 1 to 5 of zero point 0.5. 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So we were storing our elements of our domain in a list. And I want to go ahead, and of course you could just hit the upward arrow key and do that example I was actually made a mistake on. That was 0 to 10, and we should have 20 elements come out. Okay. Of course, we can't get everything on the screen here, which is an issue. As you can see here, we start with 0.0, and it goes up to, scrolling over here, 10. And it turns out that there's 21 elements actually in this list. 21 elements in the list. So there was a few things new if you didn't know. The append, which actually puts it into our container here, our list, each element as we generate it. And what else would be new? I guess the float, maybe the percent sign here. If we wanted to round it at most to 4 decimal places, we'd put 0.4. Or 1 decimal place, 0.1 here. F means float. Alright, let's scroll on down and take a look at the rest of this. Of course, here's our function right here. You should be familiar with how I'm doing this in the previous video. We go ahead and define our function, f of x. Of course, our return is y here, but we have math dot power x, right? So this is x squared minus 3, but we have to use this. And now here's where it's all taken place, right here. So this is going to be our lower and our upper, and then the increment here, or the step, sometimes they're called. And of course, this is the first piece. That was the top, and then printing the domain and range. And we go back now and we utilize this, the DOM function, right, our domain function. And this is a nice nifty little thing right here. We have for x in the domain. And so what it's going to do, it's going to loop through that domain as we go down through here and then print it off, and then it's going to go back and go to the next one. So it's going to automatically start with the very first element in our list. The very first element in our list, so it takes that first element in the list, stores it as x, then we plug it in here into our function f of x, which we've already defined up above. We're going to round that to 3 decimal places. This whole thing here becomes a string. So what we're going to have to do is get it back into a number, and in this particular case it's called a float because it's a rational number, and that's what the whole float thing does. And then we just print it out. We print our x out, starting at basically the first element in our domain. That's what our x is, and then of course z is that element that's in the range that corresponds with x. So it's real simple, but this can be extremely handy. There are some actual methods, or there's actually some built-in functions, but you have to import what's called NumPy. N-U-M-P-Y. You import NumPy, and I'm sure I'll be using that at some point in time. And we could actually just plug in the number 0, 10, and then put in 0.5 for the step. And that method is known as the, I think it's arrange, A-R-A-N-G, arrange, A-R-A-N-G-E maybe. Anyway, we'll utilize that, but I'm thinking maybe we should just try doing this from scratch first to kind of learn Python before we start importing modules. Even though we did import the math module, you'll find the script underneath the video. Alright, thank you.